All right, so I'm guessing that's enough time for everybody to get started. So the first thing I want to start off with, just to let you know, is we're going to be doing SolidWorks 2017 and only 2017. So please, if you are able to get a newer version, you can, but we're only going to use it for the 2017 version. So we're going to start off with we're going to do a total of 12 lectures. The first lecture we'll do, sorry, lectures 1 to 7, and then we'll have a midterm exam. And then we'll do lectures 8 to 12, and then we'll have a final exam. And there will be assignments in between each lectures. So like the lecture 1 will just be the interface and navigation. Lecture 2 would be the SOLIDWORKS sketching. Lecture 3 would be basic features 1. Then lecture 4 would be the basic features 2. Then on lecture 5, we'll learn about materials and mass properties. On lecture 6, we'll learn about the basic assembly. Lecture 7, we'll do drawing basics. Then after the midterm exam, we'll have lecture 8 and 9 will be advanced features 1 and 2. Lecture 10 will be design tables and configurations. Lecture 11 will be assembly and advanced mates. And finally, lecture 12 will be assemblies and a deep dive. And then we'll have the final exam and all your assignments will be due. What I will be trying to do is for the Monday to Thursday, is I'm gonna have you guys do most of the lectures, and on Fridays we'll just give you the lab time to work on your labs, and we'll play around with the dates as so forth. So good. So now that we're starting lecture 1, let's go into SOLIDWORKS that we're using. So like I said earlier, today you don't need to have it open. So just follow me on my screen and you should be fine for the first day. So some commonly used terminology when dealing with the software is SOLIDWORKS is a feature-based software, which means our model is made up of individual elements called features. Features, which we'll show you later on, are individual shapes that when combined make up a part. Features also are included in multi-body part compatibility, and also they include items like, for example, you could have a extrude feature, a loft feature, a sweep feature, a loft feature, all within the same part you are building. Some sketch features are based, so sorry, so sketch features are based upon 2D sketches and applied on features directly in the solid model. So I'm going to show you an example. So just to show you, this is SolidWorks. I'm just going to open up one that I already have saved right here. So we see our first piece that's going to be loading. And you notice that on the side here, if you look on the very left, you see that I have something called the navigation bar, which is on the side here. We have our features. We have the boss extrude, the cut, and the chamfer. This is what we did to build this item. If we go back to this little bar over here and we roll it up, as you see here, like so, you notice that we started with the simple box. Then we went down again, we extruded it to an extrude cut, and then we went down one more time, and then we have sorry, it's a little laggy, the chamfer at the end. But each one of these items that we have done all started with a sketch. So if I go back to the first one, these are all stuff we'll show as we go on. We see here we started with a basic sketch, edit sketch, and you see from that sketch there we're able to draw it, fully constrain it. As you see at the bottom, it says fully defined, and we're able to finish it and then use the extrude features to make it into a box. Good. So that's what I want to show you quickly about the features. So as you can see here, just in a couple of features, we made a simple rectangle into a extrude cut and finally to a chamfer piece, which we can rotate later on to see the actual part. Good. How I did that is just using the spacebar and it activated that view cube. So that's what I want to show you again on this. So SOLIDWORKS is a parametric software, which means the dimensions and relations used to create the features are stored within the model. So what does that mean? It means that if I want to see the size of this rectangle, or I want to change the size of this rectangle, all I have to do is go back to the sketch, right click on it. Again, how I got there is I click the little arrow, see sketch 1, right click, and I have the option to edit sketch. From there, you see I have my sketch, go spacebar, go to view, and I have the top view. Again, how did I do this? Is I did the spacebar and the little icon right up to here, which is normal to, or as you see, Control 8 allows you to see the top view of the item you're working with, or the view I'm trying to adjust. Sorry. So now you see here we have our dimensions. It's already stored, and I could go back and change them. Very simple. I just double click, and I could go from 5 inches to say 10 inches. I press check mark to accept it. And then as you notice, it automatically updates it as well. Let's go 10 again, just to show you. Go back. And like that, I have my same piece that I had earlier, but now I have it with a bigger dimensions. So as you can see here, we can go back and forth to see how the dimensions are made. And as you are updating it, the drawing will automatically update as well. Same thing goes for the extrude cut. So let me just go back a chamfer. We don't need to see the chamfer. Let's go back to extrude cut. I open it up, edit sketch. Again, we'll show you how to make all these extrude cuts later. I'm just trying to show you from the demo. Now, if I want to go from 2.5, again, if I don't like the view I'm looking at, I could just press spacebar. I'll get this orientation, and I could do normal, and it's going to make it flat for me to see the top view. I could click on the dimensions, and now you're going to notice that there's only one dimensions. Why? Because we use the relations in what they call it, relations. Yes, we use the relations to attach these items here, meaning whatever's on dimensions here will automatically make this one the same because it's a cube. So let's go put this to say 15. Accept. Oh, how big did I make them? Yeah, it's perfect. Let's go back one. Oh, I made it too big. So let's go back and repair it. I think I made my sketch a little too big. Let's go and edit. Let's go make the cut. Yeah, I made it 10, so let's go make it 5. There we go. Go back again. And as you can see here, again, spacebar if I want to change the views, or go see, I have my front, the top, the bottom, the left, the right, and it kind of shows you a preview if you hover over to see how it looks. And if you want to see the isometric view, is Control 7, or just click on the icon as well. It's very similar to when you guys start using Revit and all the other softwares with the view cubes. So as you can see here, we automatically updated the drawing by just changing a few sketches. And if I were to go use a chamfer, because the edges are still there, it's still going to work. And like the rest, I could always go back to the chamfer, right click, edit feature, and I could change the different dimensions. If I wanted to put it 1, so now it shows me a preview. I press accept, and now I have the monster chamfers going around my piece. Good. Again, the chamfer happened on both sides because we click both edges to do it. So SolidWorks is also fully associative, which means it can generate parts, models, drawing, and assemblies. Each one of these files are fully associative, meaning that they reference each other like in Inventor and not like in AutoCAD, which means if I am building something, I could use this face to build off it, and it's going to make a separate part later on. Also, if this was part of an assembly and I were to change this piece right over here, say to a different number, it will update it everywhere where this one piece belongs. Good. So another thing I want to go through. So let me just close this for now. Don't save. So another thing I want to talk about is SolidWorks is also design intent. What does that mean, guys? You may ask. Is what is your intent for the drawing? Are you trying to draw something based off speed? Or are you drawing something based off maybe you want to make revisions later on? So let me show you 2 examples of one that is based off speed, meaning you're just trying to build it as fast as possible, and another which you are trying to build it knowing that you're going to make revisions later on, or if you want to make revisions, it's going to be much easier. Or again, if the item has to be able to make revisions. So let's go open. So I'm going to show you two examples. The first example I'm showing you, it's going to be one based off speed. And the second one is going to be based off knowing you're going to change. Let me put them side by side. This one here will be on the right. And this one here will be on the, this one here is on the left. This one here is on the right. There we go. So we have two identical pieces here. The same thing, just that two ways were made, two methods were used to build these objects. Well, obviously we're missing the chamfer here, so ignore that little chamfer piece missing. But overall, these are identical pieces. The difference is the one on the left, which was the first one, that was based off speed. Why do you say that? Because again, we did the extrude cut. So like we saw before, we did the extrude cut, the extrude boss, then we did the cut, and then we did the chamfer. But for the holes, all we did is we went to the edit sketch, and we just added dimensions to our sketch. Let me show you the top view. So we added just dimensions for each circle, meaning that I'm just going really fast. I don't plan on changing this. And if the number is 0.73, it's going to be staying 0.73. On the other hand, if I look on the right side, you'll see that we did a couple of different options. We did the hole wizard. Why? Because we know maybe for this project that the holes can be different for the project. So if we go look over here and we go to edit feature, come on. Let's also go to the top view. Oops. Let's do top view. As you see here, you see that we added the actual hole knowing we're going to change it one day. So if I want to put this, for example, to another hole type, I'm able to in the long run. I go change it and it will update it everywhere here. In this case here, because I'm doing it based off the speed, is I'm going to just purposely make them fast, and if I have to change them on this object, I will have to go open this sketch, change this circle, change this one, and this one. Meanwhile, on the side on the right, if I have a whole difference, for example, let me go change this one, edit feature. All I have to do is change the size, so let's go just make it 0.5, a little smaller. I'm going to accept it. And like that, every hole is automatically updated. Why? Because while I was designing this one, you have to think, okay, so this object here will have holes that are going to be changed one day, or it's going to be used for multiple parts. So in this case, we want to make it so it's easier to use the same part in multiple projects. Meanwhile, the one on the left, which is over here, you see that we are working with it, but if I wanted to change this dimension, for example, I'm going to go put here. Let's go change it to 0.5. You notice it changed one, but I still have to go back and change the rest. Why did this one automatically change the rest? Because here I did the hole diameter, like you saw before, and then I also used the circular pattern, so it's automatically going to keep changing and updating those circles as I change them. So that's where I want to go with those. So when we're using, hold on. So when we're using the two parts, hold on, let me just pause for a second. All right, so like I was saying before, we were talking about the design intent, and you have the two options to show you which way, if you want to go based off speed, like you see here, or based off knowing you're going to change it. Can you do it always this way here? Yes, you can. Do you want to always do it on the one like the one on the left? It's not recommended for the fact that it does take you, it may be faster right away, but in the long run, if that piece needs to be reused over and over again, it would be very annoying to have to change each dimension, then make sure it's in the same location, and so forth. This way here is a lot faster. You're just adding the whole wizard, you're adding an axis in the middle, and you're adding a circular pattern around that object. But at the end of the day, if you're just looking at the two objects without me modifying them, like this and this, other than the hole size, they're identical pieces. Again, we're missing just the chamfer here. Let me just add the chamfer so they're identical. Edit feature. Let's also add this edge here, this edge here, this edge here, this edge here. I will show you this later on how to do that fast. But just looking at the two pieces, you see that other than the holes being a different size right now, they're identical pieces, just built two different methods. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, which is the final thing to talk about SolidWorks, is that SolidWorks is finally a solid modeling software, which means that solids that are generated in the 3D space are generated in 3D space, meaning that there's no origin per se, but you could always rotate around the object as you're building it. They also, each item that you see here, just for example, has different masses that we could play with. Let me just show you one for now because it's too many screens. Big screen. Again, the little arrow lets you switch beside side and side. Again, I'm showing you as we go on. Oops, let me just press escape. What's my computer doing right now? There we go. So what's also nice about this object here is we're able to, for example, by the way, this is where all the features were on top. If you see here, we have the features like the extrude, which I'll show you later on, the extrude cut, the whole wizard. These are all things that we'll show you guys later on. And then you have the 2D sketches where you'll be making the original one with your planes. If you haven't noticed, it's very similar to the softwares we learned earlier, like Inventor, where you have the planes, you have the sketches, and so forth. You also have, sorry, that was yelling that, an option to see the mass of an object. So if I want to see this mass quickly, and then we'll go on later to talk about it, if I go to evaluate, you see I have an option called mass properties. So this becomes useful when you're working in a mechanical company and they are asking you what the mass of piece of the object is. You're able to give it the density, the mass, the volume, the surface, all by just clicking, once you're done, the mass properties. I could do recalculate, and it's giving you based off the material you're using, the size of the object, and items like that. You could also you should be able to change the center of mass as well. If I go change the center of the mass, and I click this piece here, it's now in the center. If I were to go recalculate, you notice that the number has changed as well. It should have changed. If not, when we get to the material, I'll go into more depth of that as well. So that's just little features you can work on when using SolidWorks in work or at home or just to play around with. So now back to the interface of SolidWorks. So let me just close this one piece. Don't save. Don't save. So just starting off before I even get to anything, you notice that SolidWorks is very similar to Windows-based softwares. What does that mean? It means that it has the same file option, the view, the open, the new, the toolbar. See, everything is very similar to each other. Like in other softwares, to open a new file, you do Control N. And same case here. If you notice, the shortcuts are all given right beside the actual piece. So if I wanted to start a new file, I could just do New. And like that, I would be getting a pop-up like so, where I have the part, the assembly, and the drawing. So this is where you'll be doing most of your work. You're going to be drawing first things first is the part. You'll model it. Then if there's an assembly, you start assembling it. Once that's done, you could start doing the drawings for that object. If you go to the advanced settings, you see that you have more, well, not really more, but you can add your own templates while you're working here. You could have your part file, you could have with different title blocks, whatever is needed, you can add them in yourself. So if I want to open up, for example, a part file, I just click part and I can open up that drawing. That was one way of doing it. I could have also just did a simple new, and instead of opening up everything, I could have just opened it from here as well. Now, a lot of you may say, but Rob, how do we know what units we're using? This makes no sense. In Inventor, we have to choose different objects. Well, if you look at the bottom right corner of your screen, where you see my mouse, you'll see that you have the option here to change the different units of your drawing. So if you want it to be in inches, you want it to be in millimeters, centimeters, meters, they're all able to change at the bottom of your sheet over here. That's the first thing I want to show you guys. So you understand you can change the units at the bottom right corner. If I wanted to save a file, it's very similar. You do File, Save, Save As, Save All, and so forth. You also have the option of when you are building a piece. So for example, let me just build a simple piece, sketch. Well, on the next lecture, we'll go into more how to start sketching, but I'm just gonna go quickly and just from the center, no, let's go just do anywhere at this point. Just like that. All right, we have a circle. Let's go extrude it. Yes, you can pull them like that. It is that simple. Press extrude. And now we have a piece that's made. So now, like in the other softwares, once you're done everything in your modeling, you have to make a sheet, or if this belongs to an assembly. You notice that by just pressing the File button, you have the option that says Make Drawing from the Part, or Make an Assembly from the Part. These are two kind of shortcuts you can use to go once you're done. I can just do Make Drawing from Part. I save the file. I'll just call this part 2 for now. You should always rename your parts, guys, to be consistent, and it's easier if you name it in the beginning than if you were to change it later on. So let's go call this test example. Oops, example 1. Save. So you're gonna notice now once that saves, I get the option right away to choose different sheets. So again, I know I'm giving you guys a little bit of a preview of what's to come, but that's why I'm not going to go into in depth right away for this part here. But you can see here you have the ISO standards. If you want to change the standards, all you do is do browse and you look for the one that you need for the object. So if I go back, sheets, I think we may have to English. I may have to give you guys templates. I don't seem to have the templates. Sheet formats. I have, oh no, here they are. ISO. So you have ISO here, and do I have the other one? We'll look into that afterwards. I don't see that at the moment. But you'll be able to change the different sheets and objects. We could always give you guys the templates later on when needed, depending on who installed it for your computer. So once we have the sheets, we accepted it. You'll see right away it's very simple. We have the drawing here. I could go choose the front view and drag it to the drawing. I could go here, take the top view. I'm just pulling views out, guys. Right here, right here, and right here. Obviously, we don't need this many views for this one cube, but I just want to show you guys how it looks when we have it. So there you go. We have the drawing views linked to our object. And what's very nice about this, for example, is if I were to save this drawing, that's example 1 again, okay, and I were to open up the other drawing that we were just working on, the rectangle. Let's go open up this one here, which is the part file. If you notice, this is part drawing. Look at the ending of the file extension. DRW is drawing, PRT is part. Open it up, and you also have the filters right over here, where if you just want the part file showing, or you just want the assemblies, which is again .sld, ASM, and then you have also the sheet. So you have all the little quick filters here. If I just want to see the parts, if I just want to see the assemblies, if I just want to see, oops, see there's no assemblies, if I want to see my sheets, they're all able to filter through the drawing. But back to what I was doing, I was looking for example number 1. I was opening it. And let me just show you now if I were to change this dimension. Edit sketch. I didn't add dimensions before, but I'm going to add one now. So you see it. So it's 84. Let's go put it to 50. And I'll leave the other one as, I'll do this one as well. We'll make this one here, which was 66. Let's put it to, let's make a cube, 50. Now let's go and save the drawing. Press back. Let's go close this. Now let's say I was working on this drawing and I were to close it and save. You notice that your sheet is automatically updated as well. That's why it's important to make sure that if the piece you're using is linked to a certain project, you write the correct name because it can interfere with the rest of your drawings that you've made later on. All right, that's what I just want to show you a quick one about sheets. Don't save. Let's go back to just a file quickly. So like I said earlier, when using SolidWorks, it's Windows based, which means you have the pull downs like File, Edit, View, and so on. You could also use the save using the Control S. You could do copy like features using the Control C for copy, Control V for paste, Control P for print, Control N for new, Control O for open, Control S for save. There's so many others that are all able to use as shortcuts within this software as well. So if I want to open one quickly, I just do Control O, and you notice that I get the pop-up saying, what do you want to open? It's very simple, very user-friendly, not hard at all to use once you get the hang of it. You would also notice that at the top of your screen, underneath the file name, you see that you have a couple items. For example, you have the Features tab. Then you have the Sketch tab. Then the Evaluates tab, the DIM Expert one, SOLIDWORKS add-ons. Yes, there is add-ons you can get. The simulations, the SOLIDWORKS MBD, and other tabs as well. Little icons on top to take note of is the little new button, the open button. Again, every icon that I'm clicking on, if you notice, it gives you the shortcut right beside it. The save option with the little arrow to do more, because if you see the little arrows, you could do save, save all, save as, and you also have publish to e-drawings, which at a later time I will show you that, because that's a way of printing like you're printing PDFs, but you're doing electronic drawings for everybody. All right, we're going to go show you that later on. Then you have the print option, the undo, the select or box features, selections. You have one called rebuild. The rebuild is going to be when we're rebuilding a part, an assembly, or a drawing. So if ever you see a little, you do something and it's not working, or it could be your computer is not fast enough, what you have to do is hit the little rebuild button on top or Control B, and you will be able to kind of regen your drawing or update your drawing if needed. Then you have your file properties like we saw earlier, where here you could put your author, your information for the title blocks, and so forth. We have our settings option, which is found here as well, which popped up on my other screen, which we have the options right over here where you have system options as well as document options. Again, how I got here is just a little icon on top, options, and you have it. You also have a little arrow here, let me close this, where you could customize it, meaning if I want to add more things on top to my toolbars, you're able to customize your SOLIDWORKS to the way you like it. I always tell my students it's not recommended to customize it too much because when you are working in a company, a lot of companies don't allow you to customize your computer. So it's better off that if save, for example, is Control S, not to make a new shortcut for that. Try to keep the standards as is. And always remember that if you do go in a company or another place or even using someone else's computer, sometimes you may not have all the shortcuts that you made before. You could import them if they allow you, but some may not for security reasons. You also have your mouse gestures you could customize and other little things as well. Let's go back to the quickly about this. So you notice that there was two tabs here, right? We had the system options and the document properties. Look what happens when I close the file, right? And I go back to settings. what do you notice? Is you only have system options. So to be able to get drawing options, you need to have an actual drawing open in the background. So whichever you're working on or a new piece you're doing, to be able to see those options, again, you need to make sure that you have a document open in the background. And inside that, you'll be able to play with the document properties. For example, you could set the standards. If you want it to be ANSI, you could set it to ANSI. For annotation settings, dimension properties. Then you have the table properties, detailing settings. If you want to show your cosmetic threads or even in shaded, later on, we'll add that on later on. Then you have your grip settings, your snap settings, the different units you're using, your model display. So let's not get confused. Before you saw here it said um, annotation. That's for the annotation standards. For the actual units, you have to change it here if you want to be able to have the units change. See, mmgs, and at the bottom it says mmgs. If I change it to inches, press OK. You notice at the bottom it says inches as well. Let's go back to the document settings. So now we have or units, which is done. You could also change the different fractions if you want to add fractions. Later on, we'll show you this. The different model displays, the material properties, your image qualities, the sheet metal properties, the sheet weldments, the plane display, configurations, all based off the document you are working with. Not system properties, just off the document. If you want to do system properties, that's going to be on the system options. All right. So what does that mean? So now this one pertains to that one document you're working on. This one pertains to all of the systems of SolidWorks. So I hope you guys understand the difference. This one is per document you're working on. So which means in one document you can have ANSI. On the next one it could be ISO, depending on what you're working with. When it comes to the system options, on the other hand, that only deals with the actual system of SolidWorks. So if you have, for example, open last used document, you could always say open it right away. These are settings based on your computer that you will set up. Input dimension values. If I don't want, when I put a line, for example, that my dimensions pop up, I could uncheck this. So I could draw the whole sketch, then go back and have put dimensions to adjust it. If I want to draw a line with dimensions right away, then I will keep on input dimension value as well. So that every drawing I work with, anytime I draw a line, I get a pop-up for my dimensions. That's your preference. I would recommend you keep it on, but that's your preference than what you guys want to do. I just changed the setting there, so let me just go back there. Perfect. Then I have the drawing settings you can play with. Your display, always based off now the system of your drawings. Your sketches, your relations or snaps, now they're called relations. Your display settings, your performance of your computers, assemblies, your external references, where your template's being saved, your file locations, your feature managers, all found inside the system options. Where your backup's being saved, at what time does your backup kick in? If you notice, every 10 minutes, your whole wizard setup toolbox, and errors, warnings, and so on. As you see, it's kind of doing something right now. I think it crashed. But anyways, using the whole wizard toolbar, I think it's popping up on another screen that I'm not seeing. So let's give it a few seconds. Let's go on. It's still doing something. There we go. So I don't know what it was doing, but it finally stopped it. And then you have the search option and so forth. So you have a lot of different things you can change based off the system options of your SolidWorks. Cancel this. So now that I've done that, let's go back to the toolbar here. You see we have the part name. See, whatever name you put here, for example, this is part 4, you have the same name over here. Then you have the history if you want to do different parts. We also have the property manager of that piece. You have the configuration manager, which we'll talk later on about. You have the DIM expert manager, and you have the different displays for the appearance as well. Then you have your annotation notes. You have your material that you're using for that object, If there's nothing specified, nothing will be there. If I want to add material, I could add it later on, we'll show you. And then you have your top, so your front, your top, and your right plane with your origin in the middle. If ever you ever want to see any of these at all times, like in the other softwares, I could click the little eye, show, click, show. I could show all these things. Do I need to show them? No, that's really up to you. Again, I just right clicked and I use the hide option or show option. This is all found in the feature manager design table right over here. So anything else I have to show you guys? Let me just look a bit. Oh, let's go show you about the ones in the middle. So we have the, I don't remember the name of this. I think it's the navigation tools. I could be wrong if that's not the name of these. But if you look in the middle of your screen, you'll see you have a little magnifying glass to zoom in, to zoom the area. Then you have previous. If you want to do a section view, dynamic annotation views, the view orientation. This is like I showed you before using the space bar. Then you have the different shades. If I wanted to have it shaded, hidden, and so forth. Let me get you a piece so you could actually see what I'm talking about instead of just saying everything. Let me just open up this guy again and show you the different. So for example, if I wanted to slice it, I click the slice option. Right away, it tells me where do I want to slice it. I'm just going to leave it right down the middle, hit the accept button, and right there I have my object sliced in half. Does that mean that my piece is cut in half and I'm never going to see it again? No. All it's needed is to unclick this object here and it'll bring it back to normal. It's more if you want to see what's going on inside if you need it. Then if I want to change the different view options, I have shaded, gives a little bit of a shade. Then I have wire hidden with wireframe. Then I have hidden lines visible so you can see how they go inward to show that there's a hole in the middle. And then finally, I think, oops, wrong one, this one here. And then I have wireframe. So you can choose whichever way you find suitable. I don't recommend that you're always using realistic with material. It may slow down your computer and it may confuse you at some points. Here we have the whole hide all types or show all types. So what that is it gives you the option to hide items or to show it. If I don't want to see, for example, my planes, I uncheck this. If I don't want to see my grids, see grids are showing. I don't know why they're not showing, but you have the option to hide grids, show grids, all with the hide and unhide icons. Here's where we added our materials before, added appearance. If you want to apply a scene to your background, for example, like you want to be on a rooftop. Now I'm on a rooftop. It doesn't look like it. Let's see if I have a courtyard. Now this piece is in the middle of the street here. It kind of looks like now with nobody on the streets. But there you go. We have it placed over there. You could also change it, whatever you need, urban background apparently. Then you could do it. You don't have to use these, not needed. It's just to give you an option to place your object once you've completed it with a background that's given. For material wise, again, I could go here to my material, open material library. Again, don't waste your time in the beginning doing this. I'm just giving you guys an overview so you see it. Let's do some broad, this piece right here. Let's do the whole object. I could do just the face, this the extrude. You could choose which faces you want, similar to like what we did in 3ds Max. So let's go choose this whole object itself. And let me go change, I didn't change this one. Let's go put this copper. So now it's going to be copper. It's going to say it in the title block copper. The materials, if this is copper, it's going to show it as well. So there's showing you the materials. This last icon is the view settings. So if I want to look like a ambient illusion, let's see how it looks. Didn't do much. Let's go see if I change it now to perspective. If you notice our piece changed a bit. Non-perspective, perspective. If I want to make it look like a cartoon, there's cartoonish. If I don't want shades, a shadow, if you notice a shadow underneath, I could turn it off or on, take off my ambient light, and so forth. We could turn off all these little icons if I don't want it to slow me down a bit. So that's just the center ones over here. And then if you look on the far right, you see you have a little house, a book, and other folders. So these are over here are your resources. So if I click here, here's where I could do a new document, open a document. I could look at tutorials. I could find discussion boards. Here, on the other hand, the second tab is our design library. This is where we would get our toolbox, which, let's see if it works. You click on toolbox, add in now. It should work. And this is the library of your material that's already pre-installed in the SolidWorks package, which allows you to have the screws. Let's see. I think it is adding it now. It allows you to have the screws, the bolts, the washers, all standard parts pre-made in the toolbox. We're gonna let it install itself, apparently. Then we have other 3D Content Central and other SolidWorks content. So let's let it officially load. So while it's doing this, you can't usually use it. I do recommend if it's the first time you're using the toolbar that you save your drawing before. There we go. This time didn't crash. And you notice we have all the different standards. If I go to the little Canadian flag over here, structural membranes, or if I go to ANSI inches, I see I have my bearings, my bolts, the O-rings, the nuts, the keys, the pins, all different design tools that are already done for us. Okay, if I want to see 3D content, I guess suppliers, and then SolidWorks one, which blocks. Let's see what they have here. Electrical blocks, robotic blocks. These are little extra things you could get as well. Then you have the File Explorer, which is showing you what's open. Then you have your view palettes, which allows you to see the part when we're doing the sheets. You'll be able to pull the views that you want. Here's your different materials. Here's your custom properties. Here's your, I don't know what that one is, and this one, we don't need the forums. All right, so we have the different items you can play with here as well. And to move this hiding, click little arrows or click outside the box and it's gonna hide back again. When we are doing the sheets like you saw earlier, for example, if I go back to that sheet, if I saved it, I think, this one here, open. See here, if I go back to this drawing one now, you see I have different settings for it. I could get the different views that I need and I could drag them to my sheet that's needed. So those were the navigation tools I showed you about. I showed you about the different files on this side. Shortcuts again, like other ones which you'll learn eventually. If you want to do zoom to fit when you're looking at your drawing, or even this one, I think it's just F in this case. Let's see. There we go, is zoom to fit. You could zoom window, you could do previous. It's like the other softwares we've used before or you've used. If I go again to show you F, it's going to zoom to fit. If I want to see, for example, the front view, if I don't want to press spacebar and click on it, and you want it, and you find this faster, you could do Control 1, I think, is the front view. Right view is Control 4, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Top view is Control 5. Control 5, am I right? There's my top view. The back view, I think, is Control 2. Yes. Control 3 is the left. And the bottom will be 6. Now, over time, you'll memorize these things, but you don't really need to. If you hover over any of these objects, you should be able to see it. Let's see. No, it doesn't want to show it. Usually it used to show it. Does it show it up here? If I hover over here, there we go. If I hover on this one, you see Control 1 is the front view, top view, left, right. Everything I was just showing you before. I could also do two views at the same time. So I have two different views. You could change it up the way you like it, guys. Whatever is convenient for your drawing and you're able to draw the pieces, it's up to you. You could even do 4 views if you guys are used to it, like 3ds Max, where you have the different views as you're building it. Again, it's up to the person who's using the software, what they find faster or slower for them. So I already spoke about, to go get out of this view, by the way, just go back to the first cube you had before and just do, I think it's, just push this button here. Back to a single one. Is there a shortcut? No, just do a single view. I find just using the space bar and using these angles a lot faster, but that's my opinion. Again, I showed you about the different views that you could have in the drawings and how you could play with them. All right, so now let's move on to the 3 types of files like I was saying earlier. You save, don't save. So when you're starting in SolidWorks, don't save, don't save. just when you open up the file, for example, you have three different types of SolidWorks files. So we have the part file, which has the extension, which is whatever your name is, .sldprt, the name of the part, not your actual name. And number two, and the second thing about this, sorry, is it's known as the part document. Then we move on to the assembly, which is the one in the middle, which has a file extension of, again, always .sld for SolidWorks, ASM for assembly, which is known for the assembly of a document. Now, don't get me wrong, you can, in the assembly file, start assembling and then build off in there as well. That's later on, we'll show you that again. But just to show you, in this case, we're pretending we're building everything here, then we're assembling everything over here. And then finally, the last extension, which is known for the 2D engineering drawings of the part or the assembly, is known as the SOLIDWORKS drawing document file, which has the extension .sld dry. So as you notice, they all start with SLD for SolidWorks, and the names are part without the A, assembly, ASM, and drawing, DRW. So that's what I wanted to go over so you understand the three different parts we have. Inside the drawing views and sorry, inside the assembly, you could do the motion, whatever is needed for that piece as well. So like you guys have done before, to open up any software, I know I already had it open, just go to start menu later on, tomorrow when we start. You get the start menu, open up SOLIDWORKS 2017. Some of you even have the icon on your desktops. And then when you're starting the file, don't go crazy, just go here. You could choose any one of these. It's the same one as choosing these ones here right now. If we do give you templates later on, then I recommend instead of opening it directly from here, you just go advanced and you use the templates that we are giving you or that you have for your company as well. These are tutorials and these are the templates. Good. So like we're looking at before, it's kind of now I'm going back, sort of like a loop, but hopefully it kind of gets inside your heads. When you are using a new file, we don't have to worry too much about the units as we're clicking there, but we do have to look at the units once we start drawing. So at the bottom right corner, you do have the option again for inches, IPS, mmgs for millimeters, grams and seconds, CGS for centimeters, grams and seconds, MKS for meters, kilograms and seconds, or you could even have, oh, you don't have it here, do we have it here, edit, where you could do also custom dimensions as well. Here's a custom one where you could have, for example, if you want your lengths to be in millimeters or you want to add dual dimensions, you can do all that using the custom units. All should be done. The units should be the first thing you do before creating a sketch. This way your files are perfect. On the final note, the last thing I want to just say before we end the lecture for today is two things. I do recommend that once you do your units, for example, if this is going to be in inches, the first thing you should do, instead of leaving it part 5, just right away, guys, just do File, Save As. Make sure it's in the correct folder wherever you're saving it, and make sure you actually put, for example, example 2, the actual name of that piece, and make sure the spelling is correct as well. If you take that time now in the beginning, in the long run, it's going to save you time when you don't have to go back to change or rename everything. So if you take those little steps now and just save the file correctly and so forth, it's going to help you guys later on. And also, keeps you more organized. We could put the file name here. Once you've saved it, hit save. And the second you hit save, you automatically get the auto backups, like we said earlier in the options. Remember, if the documents and where is it? Oh, no, it's under here, system, which is the backup, which means now that I hit save once, in the 10 minutes, I'm going to have it automatically saving by itself. So for example, if you lose connection or if it crashes, you only lose 10 minutes of work at a time instead of losing a whole day and so forth. But it's always important that you hit save for the first time. If you just keep working and you never hit save, it'll never automatically start saving. It will just wait for you to hit that first save. So all these options can be chosen again for the units can be chosen at the bottom. Once you save it, you'll notice that the feature manager design tree also updates. So once I hit the file name, like I said earlier, it updates it here as well. And some final notes. Like with most design softwares, it's good practice to save earlier and often in case your PC shuts down, an error occurs which causes the files to crash, or now that we're working mostly from home, if the server goes down or you lose connection, it's better that you save more often and only lose, for example, 10 minutes of work, 20 minutes of work, depending on how much you saved, versus losing your whole day. So that's all for lecture number 1, and we will continue tomorrow with the lecture number 2.